So many people who struggle inside, many of my successful clients, in fact, begin right here. In well-intended but emotionally unstable homes, harsh criticism, emotional neglect, or responsibilities beyond their age. These just don't age well. They inevitably create unhealthy core beliefs that get stuck and in our way as adults. We owe it to ourselves and the people around us to heal in our own bodies, to reach out to our younger selves and pull them ashore by moving through and expelling the cuts and pains that add up over the course of our lives.
Feel the breath dig deeper down into the body.
Somatic breath practice is one very powerful means to this end.
Every human being, when they are born, takes one thing: a breath in. And that breath in was the beginning of this leg of the journey that you are currently on. And every human being in their last moment of life will surrender one thing: our breath. We enter life on an inhalation, and we will exit life on an exhalation. Everything in between is the rhythm of our life in our body. So for this exercise, bring as much attention and focus to the act of being alive in your body as possible.
I met Aliah Seavey years ago as a fellow practitioner. I've experienced her somatic breath practice firsthand. It's practitioners like her that made me a believer in integrating somatic, body-focused modalities with more cognitive talk therapy.
You're safe. Shh. I don't know if you're safe.
It is with great joy that I introduce Aliah Seavey. This is the Meaning We Make podcast. So for full disclosure, you and I have worked together. I've sent several clients to you over the years, many clients, because I'm a firm believer in multiple modalities to move through our challenges, our traumas, our healing. Talk therapy is, for me, very central, but it's not going to always be enough. In fact, most of the time, it's not only enough. So for me, it was important to start integrating more, both in my own work and then for my clients, where I could see we need to release stuff from our bodies. So when we talk somatic, a lot of people don't even know what that means, or if I'll sometimes say psychosomatic. So I want us to kind of really break that down.
Well, as a somatic therapist or somatic practitioner, I mean, now that's an umbrella term, right? Mm-hmm. Like the same way that breath work falls in, it's an umbrella term that describes a variety of different techniques. Mm-hmm. As a somatic practitioner, whatever your discipline, you're dealing primarily with the body. Mm-hmm. So as an integrative somatic breathwork practitioner, I'm utilizing a breath-based meditation, a breath-focused meditation to engage with the body. Mm-hmm. And why? Because what we are seeking to do is access content from our lived experience that remains what we refer to as truncated, traumatized energy in the body. And it's impacting us. It's impacting our perception. It's impacting our reactions. And it absolutely plays a role in our degree of reactivity, right? A comparison that I'll give is, why is somatic therapy important? If you get food poisoning, you will sit and think, what did I eat? And you'll remember, I went to that restaurant and there was something weird, and you'll build the narrative. You have the story. It doesn't change the fact that this ain't done until it's done. Yeah. The food poisoning is not gone until it's left the body.
Yeah.
And so we can talk through the material. Yeah. We can talk through the experience and gain huge amounts of clarity, right, and gain information that's necessary and tools for living. But also, at some point, we have to reckon with what lives in the body in relationship to what we've been talking through in our therapeutic work.
Right.
My work is, and this kind of specific type of breath-based meditation, is an offshoot of neurostructural bodywork.
Okay. So do tell.
So neurostructural bodywork was created by my teacher.
Okay.
And essentially it was the emotional impact of your injury played a role in your healing. Your emotional and psychological attachment to how you received the injury is going to impact how you heal from the injury. And so the integration of that awareness, and neurostructural bodywork is a type of manual therapy that produces enormous emotional release. And utilization of the breath in conjunction with manual therapy is a really important key. Because if you're manipulating the body, you have to work in flow with the breath. Like if someone is taking a breath in and you're pushing into their body, it's like two things slamming into each other. So that's a big piece of what you have to learn as a somatic practitioner, especially if you do any kind of manual work, is you've got to learn the breath of the person that's on the table and start to follow it.
Interesting. And rather than me try to describe it and completely blow it, what is happening?
So there's a big piece of this work is about the demystification of this enormous aspect of our sensorial experience. You know, we have relegated almost our entire experience of life to what we think about it, and the analysis or the assessment that's being made. While you know you were there, like you were having the experience, but you're waiting to decide what you feel until you've come to a conclusion about what you think about it. Which I'm not making a judgment about that being right or wrong. I'm just curious about like what happens if there's evidence of how you feel in the feeling you're having. If there's evidence of the position you're taking in the feeling you're having, or the feelings that you've had. So in terms of what's happening, so we're utilizing a focused and dynamic breath to activate and stimulate the nervous system. So I'm using different styles of breath, meaning the mechanics of the breath change. Sometimes it's purely nasal, sometimes it's a hybrid breath, sometimes it's purely oral, to trigger and stimulate different aspects of the nervous system, right? So breath for life should be nasal. Right? Like the Buddhist saying is to breathe with your mouth is to chew with your nose. And so the belief is that for healthy function, nasal breath is optimal. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, nasal breath causes a trigger in your diaphragm, so it expands the diaphragm, allowing more oxygen to get into the lower vents of the lungs. So when we develop strong nasal breath, we're literally oxygenating the body more effectively. But also, nasal breath stimulates the parasympathetic aspect of the nervous system, which is that it's responsible for rest, digest, and process. Mouth breathing, breathing through the lips, triggers the sympathetic nervous system response.
Interesting.
So I think that's an important thing to mention too, is, you know, this may seem really mundane or too small to matter, right? How am I breathing? But recognizing that if I'm in an argument, let's say, and you're saying things that are upsetting me, and I'm breathing with my mouth open, and my breath is up here. This little act of breathing through my lips and my breath being shallow alters my perception radically.
Fascinating.
I'm listening for threat.
That makes sense. I mean, my partner will oftentimes be like, what was that? Because I'll just go, not even when we're like activated, because I'm noticing like I haven't really connected to breath, and that it wasn't always like that. I had to develop a consciousness around my breath, you know, and that started probably with yoga and getting in more into like the healing work that I've done. But that connection to breath, especially when I'm noticing I'm withholding it, sometimes through exercise, sometimes just like here. And then I'm like, oh shit, I'm holding my breath. I'm like, I need to release.
And pranayama, I think for most folks in the West, was probably their first introduction to your breath as a thing. I would say that's true for me, for sure. And unfortunately, with the progressive kind of medicalization of all things human, like Lamaze is not even something that's really talked about, which was a tried and true technique for a long, long time.
Yeah, you're right
to
about
help
that.
people in the labor process. I mean, something like, even down to, we're looking at and talking about birth a great deal in this work, but just the setup for a birthing person, right? Like lying on your back. not ideal for birth. No support around how to bear down, how to breathe. You have to seek that out now, separate from the hospitals used to provide that. So there's very little kind of communication with us as people about how profound and impactful this birthright is.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I touch on in pretty much every session as the breath begins, a part of the guided component of the meditation is just a statement about your first breath after you were born was the beginning of something. It was the beginning of this leg of the journey outside of the womb. And that first breath separated you from the tree. Prior to that breath, you were part of a bifurcated system. Now you are an individual, independent entity that's capable of, you have agency in a way that you didn't before.
Right. Yeah.
And then the other thing I say is, you know, we breathe in and then we breathe out.
But it's something interesting you just said about the agency that you have. In some ways, it's like that's a fantastic thing, and in some ways it is. But I can imagine for never having had that before, especially for an infant, that could be fucking scary.
No, it's terrifying. I mean, I think that that's another critical piece is that our perception of things and the story we tell about the experience that we're having. I mean, the truth of being born must feel like death.
I could see that.
The only world we know is also really fascinating because at the point of conception, there's no cognitive recognition of like, I'm a person growing, right? There's an awareness of beingness.
Yeah, for sure.
And when that begins to emerge, the place that you become alive in, if that's something you're aware of, is massive. It's as big as the universe itself.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, in a short, roughly 10 months' time, that place becomes so tight and confining that you must get out. You're pushing against it, right?
Yeah.
And then the act of leaving the womb is a squeezing, pressurizing experience that's got to be terrifying in a way. I mean, I constantly say being born for a lot of people may be one of the most traumatic things you experience.
I can imagine.
In your life.
Sure.
And especially with some of the birth stories that we hear.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's profound. And that first breath can be a breath of sheer terror.
Sure.
And that individual may be feeling that terror all the way up until the here and now when they encounter me in my office.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, you've been scared like this since like the first minute.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that fear is just kind of change, shape, and evolve to match the experience of life. But you've been in that primal scream state since the beginning.
Yeah. I think one thing that's really important to me in this conversation is like, I don't want anyone to take away from this episode that this is all just about your birth. Because, yes, I am clear the impact and the importance of that, but you're dealing with real world, right now, here and now challenges.
Yes, absolutely. And the only reason why, not the only reason why, but for me in my work, I make it clear that why we touch on this material is to see how it tracks into the here and now.
Yeah. Okay. That's really important.
Yeah. But also, there's a component to this work that's exploratory. It's about curiosity. I want you to be curious about who you are. I'm curious about who you are. I'm curious about your life, and I'm interested. And I want clients to feel that same thing about their own experience. And it's interesting because I have a long-form questionnaire, and the initial part is kind of early life material, and then the second half is more current. But for a lot of people, the first thing to discover is that they have a dearth of information about their own birth.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And or like, I don't know if I was breastfed. I don't know when I started walking. I don't know. And it's like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Like, these are big milestone parts of your development in a body.
For sure.
You have no connection to at all.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, like one of the questions on there is about potty training, like anything relevant. And they're like, I don't. Some people have really vivid.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I've had people constantly ask me, why is this question on here? And my answer is very plain. It's one of the first times you start to deal with your shit and shit that's out of control. And shit that you don't get to decide on when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And your response to that and how you discern that experience is showing up right now.
Isn't that bananas to
It
think
is,
about? Well, I mean, I'll just sidebar for a minute. I'll just say, like, having gone to a PT, physical therapist, as an adult woman, she was teaching me, like, yeah, your early behavior around how to take a number 2 is informing how your body is reacting today. I was like, what?
Oh my God. I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole of pelvic floor health and sexual pelvic floor health, and how coming in the relaxation or the lack of relaxation that we feel in our bodies around going to the bathroom,
Yeah.
and the tension and stress that we
Yeah.
experience about you have to go on the potty, go on the right.
And fast and hurry, because I got to get back to work because I only have 30 minutes to get to the office before my lunch, blah, 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 blah.
And the shame piece too. Like, that's also one of the places one of the earliest places in our life where we are like, I'm ashamed. Especially if, like, I shouldn't
taking
be.
a shit.
Yeah. And like people
I believe that to be true, but it's just bananas to think
the
about.
experience of, like, I can't go to the bath. I can't do number 2 anywhere but my house.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Or like
And
when you travel.
There's a lot of reasons for that. There's all kinds of,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but it's interesting.
Oh yeah.
When you start to get into that conversation, that chapter of someone's life that they have never thought about.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a matter of, like, well, let's just open to this page.
Yeah.
Tell me the story. And they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, there we go.
Well, I think you've just scared away half the population of the United States of America from doing this work. Congratulations. So I was trying to bring people more in, but we've just completely made them, frightened them away.
So I think another way to answer this also is this work is to dissolve the barrier, the conceptual barrier that's been created about mind and body, which is something we've talked about. I think it's really important for us to start to recognize that we are one unified being.
Are people still questioning that?
I mean, I don't know that they're questioning it, but I think that part of the conventional wisdom, and we've just gotten comfortable with thinking of it that way. And so therefore, back to what we were talking about in terms of the value of somatics, is I think that somatic work historically had been degraded. It wasn't considered as valuable or as useful or as real as the mind work or the intellectual work. And the truth of the matter is that we are whole beings, and there's an enormous amount of sentient data coming through us, through our physical body. I mean, and, you know, we have our first 25 years without a fully matured brain.
Sure.
And all that, we've been alive. We've
Right.
been having experiences.
Right.
That content and information is going someplace, or it's been rendered someplace. And our nervous system is so overloaded with unprocessed content. By the time we get to a fully matured brain, I mean, it's a great blessing.
Sure.
We have the ability to rationalize things
Sure.
that historically just made us hurt emotionally. But the feeling of woundedness, like,
Yes.
even though intellectually I understand, like, mommy behaved that way because she was exhausted.
Totally.
Now I get it.
Sure.
But the part of you that was 5 and was terrified that mommy didn't like you, or the part of you that just wanted mommy to come up to you and scoop you up and hug you,
Yeah.
is still kind of zinging from that feeling experience.
Right.
And so practices like this that are mainly about discharge on a number of levels,
Yeah.
right? Emotional release, physical release, and lymph, which is another thing to bear in mind too, is that exhalation is lymph. So there is lymphatic, you are cleaning the system by engaging in breath like this too.
I think anyone who still questions whether or not, like, the mind-body is connected, all they have to do is look at an animal. Anyone who has spent any time around an animal, they can't intellectualize and justify behaviors and rationalize. I mean, one of the things I often say is, like, when a polar bear gets, zapped with a tranquilizer gun, the first thing they do when they wake up is shake off the trauma, right? So it's like, animals instinctually know to incorporate somatic work into their, right? It's the only thing they have. It's only the intellectualized beings that we are that have decided that this is
We
the
had
superior.
to learn it, right? Like, no other mammal our size gestates for the amount of time that we do and comes out
That's fair.
as feeble as we do.
Yeah, that's fair.
We
That's
have
fair.
giant heads with the sagittal suture not fully closed.
Yeah.
Our bodies
Yeah.
can do nothing.
Yeah.
We have to continue gestating outside.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which
Never
is-
thought about that.
Which is also part of why, I mean, it's ironic, right? We come out so feeble but end up at the top of whatever chain we're
Yeah.
dominating.
We are men and women, hear us roar.
But we learn, and the learning process, creating those connections between neurons is the process of learning, but then we learn to analyze.
Yeah.
We're not building off of kind of pre-installed software all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it comes from. But I mean, I think that what you're speaking of is something that's so vital, which is like a mammal, like a bear.
Yeah.
Something in the nervous system understands that it has to wick away.
Yeah.
It has to get that out of the system.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that bear is going to be in that state of being traumatized.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Humans, right?
But we don't have that innate thing occurring. So that's why somatic practices are so vital.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a way to we got to help this body let go.
Yeah. For sure.
We've got to support the body in letting go.
Sure.
Because the body is in a stunned state or a reactive state, and it doesn't know it's over.
Yeah. Agreed.
In through the nose, out through the lips, and we're going to strengthen and deepen the breath in. Let each breath in be a deliberate act of receiving. And each breath out be a deliberate act of releasing.
We did a practice with me. We've done several practices with me, moving through some things, which is what made me a believer. But for tonight, we talked about, what we were moving on was like, first it started with my mom's grief, and that's exactly what I thought I would be processing. But really what it came down to was just the traumas that I experienced. What I came to understand was the enmeshment. I just keep seeing her. I could see her for a long time. When you were telling me to see me, I felt it was, no, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling her in that moment is what I felt and couldn't separate until you were telling me, hold her, hold her. And even still, I think that's some of what my shaking is. It's hard to let go of feeling what I was connected to her in that moment that I observed in my childhood. The carrying of that death of sadness that she felt.
I mean, there's years of life. There have been years of life that you have grown together through. So it will take the necessary time and patience and support to really feel the separation.
I couldn't let go when you were talking to me about, look at yourself in that moment when you saw your mom, falling apart crying because this man was not coming, and how, really overwhelmed and upset she was. And you kept telling me to look at myself as a little girl in my hair, and I was really trying, and I kind of got a glimpse of her, but man, what I couldn't stop saying was her, my mother. And that was the moment because I am a clinician, I could almost kind of come in up over here and be like, oh my God, that is me taking in my mom's stuff in that moment. And I've still carried it with me, which certainly I knew intellectually, because that's the stuff I had been working on throughout my adulthood.
But you felt it.
That moment I was still feeling it, and that had been being held into my body.
She is you and you are her. That's the feeling, right? And so it's like the thought of trying to visualize yourself as a little girl. The only child you see is your mom. Because that's the child that you had to take care of.
Yeah.
Right? And I think also it shows us how much of our family, our parents are housed within us.
Yeah.
It's not just an abstract. I mean, the reality of the cells, of our babies are alive in us for many, many years after, and our cells are alive in them. And so, the dysregulation that occurs as a parent, and, when your children are small especially, it goes on for a long time.
Yeah, right.
It's quite literally, I'm reacting to, they're having an experience, and their cells in me are going, ha, ha.
Yeah.
I think it's important for us to recognize that this epigenetic experience.
That's right. Yes.
This transmission of intergenerational data. It doesn't just have to be trauma.
Yeah.
It's content, it's data, it's information.
Yeah.
It's very real.
Yeah.
And that you in this moment of your life where you're having the big physical separation.
Yeah. My mom's passing.
Your mother's passing was the big physical separation.
Yeah.
There is going to be a physical experience that reflects that separation.
Fascinating.
I mean, I want, if you feel open to it, just kind of talking again about the kidney stuff. Like,
yeah, I felt it a couple times on the table.
Yeah.
Just FYI, the tightening, the tension in the right there in that lower back.
I wanted to hear you talk a little more about it because I mean that was down. I mean, there's so many layers to it.
Yeah.
Like one we touched on a little prior to around the kidney. You know,
My mom's history of kidney failure.
Your mom. I mean, there's that piece.
Yeah.
Like even if that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
You know, to be a grieving daughter or a daughter who's just said goodbye to her mother. And for you to be having pain in that part of the body right around the kidney, and then the muscular pain is all psoas, which is the womb of the kidney, right? There's a lot of schools of thought that would be like,
wow, that's fascinating.
there's grief work. There's grief work that needs to be done. But then also to discover, oh, that was your mom. That was part of your mom's decline. That was part of her illness.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you're having
Profound.
that experience too, that enmeshment experience. Your kidney has been suffering with her kidneys.
So weird.
Yeah.
It's bananas.
Yeah. And it's like part of the releasing, letting go, the unenmeshing, becoming less enmeshed.
Yeah.
So that there's more room for you is the grieving process. You know, one of the things that I think, you know, the way that digestion is the metabolic process. You know, we eat food and we digest it and break it down, and that's how we're able to utilize it. You know, uptake the nutrient, eliminate what needs the waste. Grieving is that for the nervous system. That our ability to grieve, and when I say grieving, I'm not just referring to grief. I'm talking about the act of pulling up and allowing all the emotional content that is there to be felt. And that's frightening because there can be a lot of ugly feelings or scary feelings.
Sure, of course.
But through that process of grieving, we're able to ascertain, oh, what is useful here?
Yeah.
And what is ready to be discarded.
Sure.
And so dynamic meditation, breath-focused practice becomes a way to actively engage with grieving, to support the nervous system in processing some of this material. And ultimately, like this process is for processing, like EMDR is, or somatic experiencing. Like we're trying to cultivate awareness in the body and extract whatever data is useful so that we can organize it.
Right.
So we feel less run or subjugated by it.
For sure.
And we feel more integrated with it.
Yeah.
And so that's why, I mean, that's in the title of what I do. It's about integration.
Yeah. I think one of the things I struggle with a lot sometimes with just being in the world, and certainly with sometimes with, you know, some clients, is this idea that like, oh, no, we don't fight in front of the kids, or even the kid themselves. You know, it's like, I had a great childhood. And, you know, for all intents and purposes, they probably did in many ways. And hearing you talk about how, oh, our kids feel like my experience, feel that moment, our parents' struggle, our parents' pain, our parents' whatever. So I think I want to talk a little bit about how parents seem to feel like this, like, oh, no, I would never do that to my child, but they're doing it to their child and they don't even realize it. And a lot of the times that they don't want to address it because they don't want to see, I mean, you're a parent, they don't want to see how that's probably going to play out and impact their kid.
That shows up in a lot of different ways. The two things that I feel are relevant to say first. One, anytime I say I don't do, that doesn't happen, that is an expression of resistance.
Yep.
And resistance is the most profound and powerful form of focus. And that what you focus on expands.
Yeah.
So as much as you think they don't know about it, I bet they do.
Yep.
In a way that you would not even imagine that they knew
That's
about
right.
it. And then the other piece too is that a surefire way to develop the characteristics you found the most distasteful in your parents is to be like, I'm never gonna be like Barbara. It's like, well, guess what?
Yeah. Reaction formation.
Like, yeah, that reality is like you're going to show up like Barbara more often than you probably would like. The recognition that that is a potential actually kind of diffuses the chance of it emerging. Recognizing that these terrible characteristics that we witness our parents exhibit, it's fair game.
Right.
It might show up, totally.
Yeah.
But my willingness to accept that it's part of it actually brings me my consciousness into it so I can make a new choice. A great deal of the kind of denialism around parenting that a lot of people engage in is just, I'm not conscious about that. This is as conscious as I want to be.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'm conscious that I don't want to do that.
That's
it's
right.
like, that's fantastic. What would you like to do instead?
Yeah. Right.
There's more to this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I also think that one of the things that starts to happen when you engage in kind of exploratory practices that force you to explore your own consciousness, you start having conversations with your kids. You start being more curious with your kids about what they think and what they feel.
Yep. Yep.
And what their perception of a situation was. I remember I was taking a training. It was in conjunction with like a heart opening training, a somatic heart opening training. And it was part of the conversation was around like talking to your children about, are they comfortable with your level of affection? And, and the teacher said, like, ask your kid, like, are you okay with how much I hug you or kiss you? Or, is it too much for you ever? So my eldest at that point was like 3 or 4. And I went home and I said, hey, buddy, does it bother you how much I like hug you and kiss you, or like when I pick you up and like I would like pick him up and spin him around and like, kiss him on push him really hard on his cheek? Yeah. And he goes, it is a lot.
Holy moly.
And I love it.
Oh, he said it, I love it.
But it was like, it scared me.
Yeah,
because it was like, one, the recognition of like, oh my God, I'm just doing this because this is what I'm feeling. Yeah. I'm expressing what I'm feeling. Yeah. But I didn't check in with the kid. Yeah. To find out. I mean, I got lucky.
A very common one like that is like when the kid meets a stranger, the parent's like, go hug them goodbye. And the kid's like, oh, no. And I'm like, don't make the kid hug me. What are you teaching the kid?
Yeah. And then, but not only that, there's an indictment of the child's character. Like now the kid feels ashamed. Now there's a whole other layer of emotional shape that the child takes because they failed something their parents really wanted them to do, even though to do it, they would have to violate their fundamental sense of self. So what does that set? It sets a precedent for, I'm going to consistently violate what feels comfortable for me for my whole life. Yep. I'm going to let external pressure and social pressure.
Self-abandon.
Right. But that's a feeling.
Yep.
And the first thing we abandon is that feeling is legitimate.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
And so, I mean, I think it's the notion of my kid, we don't fight in front of our kids. Like, okay, what do you do in front of your kids? Yeah. Like, and have you talked to your kid about that statement? Like, would they assess it the same way? Or would they be like, you don't do it in front of us, but we can hear you?
Yeah. Well, just as a sidebar, I say, well, then how do they learn how to fight?
Right.
This is called modeling. It's called teaching. It's called modeling is the number one way kids learn. So great, you didn't fight in front of them. So then you know what they do? They end up not knowing how to fight. And so then in a healthy way, so then they end up getting like pulling away and avoiding, which is not healthy.
100%. And even before we get to like the demonstration of fight, like even if that's still never seen, the notion that your child is not feeling
fully
the tension level. It's like, okay, you didn't fight in front of them, but now what's been put into place to prevent them from knowing that you just had a fight?
You can go to a grocery store or to a restaurant and say, oh, that couple's they're in a fight just by simply just glancing over and feeling the energy.
Feeling the energy.
Yeah, like, you don't think they can't feel it in their own home?
And so that, I go back to the, any hesitance around, this is too out there, this is too woo-woo. It's like, I hate to break it to you folks, but you're using this sensory perception all the time. All the time. And it's time that we allow ourselves to let that become part of the framework that we're using to navigate life in a fuller way. I think we'll be like, ooh, I noticed that, or I noticed this, but then then it's throwaway. It's like, it doesn't mean anything. It's like, no, that means something. Yeah. One of the things I say in session all the time is, it's not what you feel. It's that you feel. Because I'm not here, I don't have an agenda about getting you to feel a certain way about A, B, or C. But if you don't feel, then we're in dangerous territory. Yeah. Because your human response, emotional response, sentient response has been tamped down, muted, or shut down somehow. Yep. And what you're telling me a horrifying story. Yeah. And you are showing me that you feel nothing. Now we have some real kind of crisis intervention we have to do,
So, a couple of things, like when you and I have done this before, my hands, right? Like,
Yep.
and then my mouth got, and I was scared shitless. Thank God you were like, I'm here, right? So it's like, okay, I'm calm. This time, my sensations were more tingly, shaky, and it moved. First, it started at my legs, and at first I was like, "Am I cold? Why am I shaking?" But then that stopped, and it moved up to my chest, in my this area, and I was like, I only realized I could stop shaking at really certain points because I could feel the tension. It was the tension forcing me to shake, I think. And so, what's that about?
So there's a couple things. So one, something that is related to the cramping of the hands is referred to as tetany. The kind of tightening of the lips, that's all tetany.
Okay.
And that's all a byproduct of the practice. It's a standard byproduct. It's nothing to be alarmed by, but it can get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
For most folks in their first session, first 3 sessions, tetany is usually the strongest. And it's because that we're unpacking probably at least 25 years of unmoved tension that's just been kind of living, right?
Yeah.
And then once we get through that, then we get into the deeper, kind of subtler layers of anxiety and tension in the body.
Okay.
What we witnessed in your practice today is something that shows up very commonly with people that are dealing with sadness, that are dealing with grief specifically. What you described was my body was getting so tense that it was shaking,
Yeah.
right? One of the things that the innate wisdom of the body, as we talked about before, a way to release tension is to first optimize it. So what you were experiencing was the low-grade state of tension that you're in all the time, just getting more intensified so that you could release it.
Wow.
And it was really interesting because it was like, it was happening in waves. Like, it's so funny that you refer to the bear and the tranquilizer dart
Yeah.
footage, right?
Yeah.
Because it was like I was watching your body go, that would vibrate from the foot up.
Wow.
And then would vibrate from the shoulders down. And I was literally watching your nervous system kind of put down something that it had been holding. And in our conversation prior, we talked about weight
Yeah.
and responsibility
Yeah.
and be feeling burdened
Yeah.
by certain degrees of
For
responsibility.
sure. Yeah.
And feeling like a burden
Yeah.
as a responsibility. And besides, the experience of releasing, there's also the experience of on the other side of release. And if we have been used to being weighted by another human being's experience, when that weight is gone, that can be terrifying. That can be sad. Like her stress, the stress that she created in my life, like that's how I knew she was here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to feel that leaving my body is like saying goodbye to her in a whole different way.
In this moment, even I'm noticing I want to be a little protective and be like, well, we had some really great times too, right? And I think the reason that's so important for me, obviously, is I want to demonstrate that, I loved my mom deeply, but also it's my own natural reaction that I acknowledge and witness with clients with like, oh, but I had a great childhood.
Right.
It's that protective piece, right? Where it can be complicated. It can be both. It's an and.
It must be complicated, and it's all of it. I think that that's a piece of the demystification is like, we have deep love, deep, authentic, powerful love for people that harm us. And we have real feelings of frustration and anger toward people that we adore and adore us.
True, it's true.
So it's not a black or white issue.
Yeah.
And I think that's also a part of why this work is important is because you're allowed to feel all of it, Alan Watts talks about that, a lot. That was a big piece of his whole bag was like, there's no wrong feeling. And in fact, that if we seek to engage more wholesomely in the world, we've got to give ourselves permission to feel what's there. Then we can marshal some control over what we're feeling out here.
Sure. Yeah. And how we're showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And behaving. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Was there anything else in my session tonight that you realized or noticed? I think one thing that I'll just say is like when I said, but I could still feel like my little girl wasn't ready to I couldn't fully see my little girl. Like that I kept just seeing my mom quite a bit, and I felt like there was still a lingering tingle. And you said, Oh, we're just getting started. I was like, fucking great, Aliah. Because I'm exhausted.
Well, we're just getting this for this session. We're not gonna have to do any more in this session, but I think that what this revealed is that there's real value in you cultivating a deeper emotional and somatically connected relationship to yourself as a child. And that there's, and then also that there's a huge amount about your mom that you're going to gain awareness and love and connection that you're going to feel when you feel like, oh, I'm allowed to be here too fully. In the same way that you were able to hold space for her.
Yeah, like take up your own space.
Yeah, you're allowed to inhabit this house. It's your house. And she can be in there with you, but it's your house. And that, a goal for you to see, if we were working together on this regularly, I'd be like, okay, you need to find a picture of yourself when you were like 10. And you got to blow it up. So it's like the size of your head. And you need to put it on your mirror. And every morning you need to take a look at that kid. And you need to talk to her. And you need to invite her into your day. And you need to be like, hey, like I'm here now. So come with me. Let's do this. And to recognize that time needs to be spent to tend to that part of you that's still her, still 10. Still kind of wanting someone to show up in a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
You know?
What are the roles that, because we talk about like birth and like, our parents, particularly our mother, because that's, women are the ones who give birth still. But what are like the roles of men in this process, in terms of like the impact, if it's not about birth? Right?
Well, everyone was born. So every human being is dealing with the experience of coming into this life that they're in.
Right.
So although they may not be a person birthing another person,
right,
they've been birthed. And the truth is that so many men come in and are talking about experiences of birthing. And it's not like biological birth of a baby.
Right.
Or physiological birth of a baby, but it's something else.
Right.
Or it's a birth of themselves. Another thing I say constantly is that the physical experience of conception, gestation, birth, life, and death, as far as we know, occurs this one time.
Sure, yeah.
But the biorhythmic experience, the experience of conception, gestation, birth, that's something we're experiencing all the time internally. We have a moment of revelation, of clarity, and then that begins to grow a whole new perspective.
Yeah, sure.
And then we begin living in that perspective.
Yeah.
And then that perspective, too, ages and dies, and a new thing begins to grow. The life force, pranic energy is our life force energy. And whether you're a man or a woman, it's what you're made of.
Yeah.
And so the birthing experience for a man, it absolutely happens, just happens in different ways. The systems are different. And then also fathers, it's pretty profound. Fathers go into this deeply psychedelic place about their connection to their children and feeling bonded to the growth process with their children. That is very, very much so akin to the experience of mom growing the baby in her belly.
Yeah.
So, they play a huge role in that piece. But yeah, men gain a huge amount from this work, especially because I think culturally men have been conditioned to not let themselves, certainly not express any of these feelings.
Sure.
But not even feel it. Like, don't even go there.
Right.
And that poisons a human.
Well, you can often see it how they walk.
There's a rigidity. And like we were talking about earlier, there's a big generational difference.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a generation of males that are operating from a more kind of fluid and open place. And I think ultimately they'll have a healthier, more peaceful experience because they're just giving themselves permission to be like, this is what it is. This is how I feel. It's what's there. And I have to let that be as important as what I want you to think of me. And I think that there are many generations, and don't get me wrong, I've worked with many men, in their late 60s and their 70s that are just wildly open. They've been waiting for an opportunity to get cracked open and to see all the crystals inside.
Right. Yeah.
To see all that is in them.
Yeah.
But
And to
they play
feel.
It's massive.
Yeah.
And also a big part of the conversation, birth is just part of it. When we're talking about your family system,
Sure.
you know, a big piece of how the processing component works is storytelling. You know, I listen to the story. Tell me the story. Tell me the story of your grandfather.
Right. Right.
You know, to give me a memory. You know, and getting people to start to get into that place where they recall.
Yeah.
And I think another piece that's important about all this work, it doesn't matter if it's somatic, but people feel so intensely validated through connection. And that we're in a moment where hyper independence is kind of the name of the game, and like hyper isolation, like, you know, you can connect with the world via social media, so
Sure.
you never actually have to connect with the world.
Yeah.
And we're built for pair bonds.
Yeah.
It's how we come into physical existence for the most part, right?
Yeah.
They're triplets and twins,
Sure.
but on average, it's one at a time.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So something really specific happens for a human being when they link up with another human being and connect.
Sure.
That can't happen when they're alone.
For sure.
And so it replicates our original form of coming into physical existence. So whether you're a man or a woman, that's something you feel.
So we have talked before. I'm curious about, you know, your work with both couples or families in doing this somatic work. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So one of the things, so let me start by saying this. A lot of this work kind of got introduced to the West, to America, through kind of the Summer of Love, kind of flower children.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, it came through, you know, Werner Earnhardt, who was up in San Francisco, who created Landmark Forum and Est, right?
Okay.
And Leonard Orr, who created this style in the West, came up in that milieu as well. So a lot of these modalities were introduced in kind of like big group practices. And it was a big part of my study and how my practice was cultivated. And what I discovered really early on was this work is more effective when it's one-on-one. And certainly for the beginning. And like the joke I've given you is that the group work can feel too intense. It can feel like losing your virginity at an orgy, which is probably too much for the average person. And the one-on-one work creates this pathway into pair bonding, one-on-one tethering and connection, and to feel safe and supported to go as deep as you need to go.
Yeah, let me tell you, you touching my head and just like that was so comforting.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even begin to imagine like being in a large scale group and not having that connection point.
I mean, you have people offering support, but it's just different.
Yeah,
And so, in general, I like to work with people one-on-one and help them to develop a practice, because this is a practice. I want you to feel strong in your practice. And then introduce a group. The one group that I'll go in cold with after not having breathed them individually is family group breath.
Can't even begin to imagine what that is like.
And it's some of the
Powerful.
most kind of powerful and beautiful and revealing work.
Yeah.
Because it's ripping back a veil on a family system. And for them to feel in the rawness what is there for them with no story connected to it, which is another piece that's really important about this work, is that part of what happens is you have feeling, you have sentient awareness, you have somato-emotional awareness, but there doesn't necessarily have to be a story connected to it. You know, sometimes rage will come up and people are like, I don't even know what that was about. It's like, it doesn't matter what that was about. The story is something we add after. You just got to give yourself permission to know that that's there. And this is a safe place to let it come up and out. Or joy or exhilaration, right? And so when you have a family in a raw state of breathing and feeling with each other, right? Like a family is an energy system.
Yeah.
It's a current.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
It changes things.
Yeah.
they begin to see each other in a different way. They go to each other. They feel a sense of connection to one another.
Yeah.
Or there's clarity about someone's feeling a disconnection.
Sure.
So that's the one group that I'll kind of go, okay,
in.
you want to bring your husband and your 2 kids? Okay, come on.
Yeah.
We'll
yeah.
do it.
I mean, geez, I think that would be so cool.
And couples work is just so wonderful.
Yeah, isn't it though?
And somatic couples work is so profound because, again, it's a way to get underneath the story. It's a way, because what we have more often than not is we have couples that come in and they're in a state of disconnection due to communication issues or a perception where I'm viewing this differently than you're viewing this.
Sure.
And so now we're not communicating, we see things differently, and we disconnect.
Right.
So now we're in a state of disconnection and friction.
Yeah.
And it feels like, I don't know how to get back. We don't even know how to get back to each other.
Yeah.
And so the dynamic meditation becomes this pathway to reconnection that's emotional. It sometimes can feel spiritual. It's physical. It's visceral. And all of a sudden there's a safety that begins to get reestablished between the 2 people that makes whatever dialogue needs to happen feel more plausible. So that's just like one example of the couples work.
Yeah.
And then I also think that it's pretty revealing because I've had many people before their nuptials want to do some work and come in and they start doing the eye gazing work and they can't look at each other.
Wow.
And so I go, stop the record.
Yeah.
You want to get married?
Yeah, no kidding.
You can't, okay. I mean, I don't have judgment about this, but let's just look at this.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that
For the
there's
rest of your
something
life.
that this is going to come up later
Yeah.
as something you don't want your partner to see?
Oh, I've seen couples where they're like, they'll have a fight and they're kind of looking at each other. The other one's like, and anyway, and da 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 da. And there's like, she just couldn't, they just can't look or he just can't look. And I'm like, wait a minute, where'd you just go?
Where'd you go? And so I think it becomes an opportunity to go like, okay, I see a really basic thing that we can work on here.
Basic, but so important because that's that bit for connection, that opportunity
it's
to
level
look,
value,
right? Yeah.
But it's like the most basic fundamental thing.
Yeah.
And so like, okay, so we're going to be here in some sustained breath.
Yeah.
I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And we're just going to stay here. And then you're going to tell me all the bad things that you felt. And we're going to start talking about what comes up for you when you let someone see you.
How does someone know, like, people will access you often through me, for sure, or other clinicians that do more of your typical talk therapy, right? How are other people supposed to, who aren't doing talk therapy, recognize that maybe I need to try this modality, this, experience, and because what's the sign?
Pressure in their body.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I have people that come to me because they are literally at a place of like, I feel like I can't breathe.
Okay, because I really want to make sure people aren't like, well, just go get a massage.
Oh, I mean,
You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, the beauty of that is that there's a component, the tactile component is hugely beneficial.
Yeah.
But there's another element that needs to be addressed.
The layer beneath it.
The layer beneath it, which is the emotional
Yeah.
attachment to whatever the body is feeling, and experiencing.
Yeah.
And to work with someone that has the ability to work as translator.
Yeah.
To be like, tell me about what you're feeling, and let's talk through the potentials there, and ask you the questions that lead you into the answers. Because as you know, I mean, that's if you're worth your salt, the client is going to say the thing that they need to hear.
Oh yeah. When I was up on the table and you said something responsibility, I go, that word, it was what felt stuck. The word was what I resonated with because it felt stuck inside of me. And has long been this deep recognition of a very deep felt sense of responsibility. You just saying that word out of nowhere. We did not, just to make it clear for the audience, we did not have a pre-conversation about
What we were going to talk about.
No, what was taped was what
happened organically.
Yeah.
And I will say that I think also just in terms of like the way that we organize things like body work and like deep tissue work, like that's not just therapy. You know what I mean? Like that's not just something. It's you only need. It's like no. That's a huge thing that you need. And to find a manual therapist or a body worker that actually is able to take responsibility for what's occurring there. And it's like everything kind of gets shuffled into, it gets commodified, turned into a service, turned into a product.
Yeah.
It's like you pay $45 and you have someone do deep tissue massage or whatever. And don't get me wrong, there's great therapists in there that's their job, that's the job they're doing. But it's huge. It's huge. Like another person putting their hands on you, another person making contact with you, another person like coming into alignment with your breath, their breath. Like that's big stuff happening. But it's kind of gotten organized into this less important category, right? Of like, oh, that's all. Like constantly with physios, PTs, trainers, like I'm always like, the United States is the only place where you can get a certification for this in like 3 days or a week. Like there's so much more that this job as even a personal trainer entails in terms of understanding populations and recognizing aberrations in a person's skeleton.
Yep.
That you're going to have to adjust how you're presenting what you're teaching them or what they're doing. So I mean, my prayer, my hope is that this work continues to get pushed to the center because as a necessary part for human wholeness and human integrity, which is wholeness. That we are a whole thing. We are a whole thing, and there's enormous value in every layer of our perception. And that one of the most important byproducts of any meditative practice that we definitely get from this work is you are not your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so if we can accept that, let's go spelunking in here, and see what else is in here,
right?
And see what other aspects of me are having an experience, has an opinion, has a feeling. We understand this in terms of like in relationship to sex, like we understand when the body's saying no, right? Like again, there are places that we've kind of strategically allowed these things to be legitimate and valid.
Sure.
And then a whole realm where we've invalidated.
Sure.
And so that's my hope, is this continued integration of this aspect of our psyche,
right?
The deep psyche, into the work of our healing, our growth and evolution. And that it's not body and mind. It's like, no. It's one whole being.
And so in that way, the podcast is called The Meaning We Make. And a lot of that for me was about just the meaning that we make, we hold in our bodies, right?
Yeah.
And that was a lot of why I was like, it's so important for me to bring you in and have people understand the relevance of the meaning that we make, we hold in our bodies, and what do we do with it? And how is it impacting us? Right?
I mean, I think, one of the first kind of more acute populations that I dealt with were people in early recovery. And, this work is really powerful for people in early recovery for a variety of reasons. One, the kind of lymphatic component, the cleansing component is critical because the tissues are just oversaturated and overworked. But then also there's an experience that a person in new recovery is having in their body through the breath, that the only other time they've ever felt that much was when they were high. So to have an experience of like sensory intensity and overload and revelation, and it's like, this is just you breathing. That is a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's something that what I love about it is, again, it's not, taking, psilocybin or MDMA. It is, especially for people who are weary of anything, any kind of substance, whether it's even, prescription medication. This is your body's natural function. That is all you're using, right? And just different variances and cadences. And so that, I think, is what's magical. So it makes it more accessible for a lot of people to do some of this work, to integrate more of the body and mind piece.
And I think it reveals just how kind of innately psychedelic this experience is.
Yeah.
That it's like, oh, no, you can go inward, like deep inward. And there's a lot for you to see in there. And there's a lot for you to understand and know and feel and come back to the surface with.
Right.
A hallucinogenic is not required.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm a practitioner. So I believe in practice. And so this is a practice that you develop. And the more that you practice, the more skill you develop with it. And the more mastery you have over it as to use it as a tool in your life, but also you become stronger. You become stronger as an individual. And one of the things that, you know, especially when I'm working in the big group realm and kind of talking about the efficacy or the relevance of this work is, look, just on the most basic level, okay? We're these like little organic beings that grew out of this place that are now just overwhelmed with so much electromagnetic current and frequency in the air from the phones and the satellites and the, you know, do something to kind of strengthen your own internal frequency.
Yeah.
Just to stand up against what you're up against.
People underestimate the emotional weight that they carry with them. And it doesn't have to be a big traumatic. I mean, people a lot of times don't even know what complex PTSD is. And that is not even from, you know, just the parents necessarily. That can be from school bullies. Like, it's all of those
relationships, jobs. I mean, I think that's the other piece too, is that what we start to realize is that this massive scenario that we've crafted about whatever's happening in our life.
Right.
It often emanates from the tiniest bija.
For sure.
From this tiny seed. This whole narrative about who we are is grown.
That's right.
And so that's, you know, that's the thing that's so fascinating too, is that often radical shifts in perception are just little adjustments.
That's right.
And that's why, so then something like the breath, it's like, it's powerful.
But to back to this, but people don't understand. It's like they'll say, oh, so if you're just saying to either just reframe or, you know, just hack my mind. I'm like, no. It's the felt sensation in your body that then creates a different association, that then creates a different belief, that then guides your worldview and your reactions.
Yes. And so, yes, you're having your felt perception is altered.
Yes.
How you feel about what this thing is changed. So this thing has changed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the thing I say constantly is charge reduction is harm reduction.
Ooh, I like that.
And this process helps to reduce charge, emotional charge around things that historically maybe have held enormous charge for us.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think also it's important to, like this, I would describe it this way. To utilize this as a mind hack, or anything as a hack for the human.
Yeah.
It's the difference between moving the props on the set around and going, okay, that feels a little bit different.
Yeah.
Or rewriting the scene.
Yeah.
And so this work is about, let's see what scene you wrote here.
Right.
Okay, how do you feel about this?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go in and let's see where this action's taking place.
Right.
And let's be with that part of you that's feeling the scene. And notice where you want to go here. Notice what feels right here. You know, and more often than not, around, let's say, conflict. You know, someone is in conflict with someone else, and the story that they're operating under is like, this person did something wrong, terrible. I cannot ever go toward them again.
Right.
And then when they get into the feeling space, the discovery is, I want to go toward them so bad. But they did this thing.
Yeah.
And so now I've written a story of contempt and I can't. And I'm like, okay.
I might have been there myself.
Yeah. But that is a moment of what we would refer to as disintegration.
Yeah.
Where my story and my feeling are disintegrated.
For sure.
Right? And so what happens if it comes into greater alignment?
Yeah.
Not by force, but by allowing them to. By allowing them to naturally find their way toward each other.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being you.
Aww.
And inviting me into your life and letting me be a participant.
I just got chills. No, honestly, you know that I think so highly of you. You're such a powerful person, a force. And I believe, but also a lot of the clients are like, she's like a shaman or something. I'm like, yeah, you just have such a gift. And in your delivery, I'm sure there are probably a lot of, you know, people out in the world who do have some of this technique and experience, but you as the facilitator are gifted in the way that you hold the space for people to feel the feeling and the sensation, and to bring that awareness that you are finding from the story, right? Because I love the concept of like you're finding the story and you're healing it through that. That is your gift. So thank you.
It's a real honor. I mean, I feel this way about this work, that I'm really privileged, and it's an honor to be invited into your life, into your house, into your story. For me, this work is certainly not centered around me. But I feel so unbelievably grateful and honored to know you and to be in your world, and to be part of this conversation with you, and for us to be here having this discussion. I just feel like it's important for me to say that. I really appreciate and honor you, and I feel really grateful that you're interested in what I do.
Yeah. Hey, you've seen me grow, so I know as a clinician that we connect to that with our clients, right? So I can see that, I feel that, but I feel you, so thank you.